Alright, so good day everyone. I will be recording the alternatives to experimentation, surveys, and interviews. So this will be the last coverage for the summative test that we will be having next meeting. So surveys and interviews, I think, is the best na alternative, ano? Instead of using the unobtrusive measures na iyong gingamit para hadtong nga mga topics that were assigned to you, I think it will be easier sana, no? If we used surveys and interviews, 'di ba? Like for example, ang pinaka-famous na haircut for girls or the popular snacks or drinks, 'di ba? Because that's easy if you just have a poll siguro or survey like that, especially a popularity, 'di ba? We can ask from the view of the students, sino ang most popular nga professor or what, 'di ba? Or ano nga brand of phones and mas preferred nila, 'di ba? So as you can see, surveys and interviews easiest way to do things, no, to gather information. It's the most familiar and exposed of all time, and it's usually done through um mga research, 'di ba, na sometimes nagiging participants ka mo, it's through a survey. May daliwat mga telephone surveys, election polls, o mga television ratings. It's done through surveys. And siguro most common for you is the customer satisfaction, where they measure how satisfied are you han a service na inahatag, 'di ba? So that's a form of a survey. Now let us discuss survey research. So it's a useful way of obtaining information about people's opinion, attitudes, preferences, and behavior simply just by asking, no? It gathers experiences, feelings, thoughts, motives na dirihiya basta-basta makikita just by observing someone, 'di ba? So if you want to know more about a person's feelings, about their experiences or thoughts, it can be done through survey. And it's useful in collecting sensitive topic because they can be given anonymously, di ba? Usually in mga surveys, they don't require you to put your names, optional la all the time. Pero it's useful assuming that it will be answered truthfully because as you can see, ang mga surveys sometimes, ano iba nga mga respondents, they do not take the survey seriously. Pero if the survey is taken seriously and it will be answered truthfully, it's actually very helpful, no? So here, since it is not an experimental design, we can just make inferences about behavior, but we cannot, again, just the same with the non-experimental designs, we cannot assume or we cannot conclude causal relationship directly using survey. Okay, most likely more on descriptive la inihiya, or sometimes you can also correlate the results of a certain survey. Okay, so in survey research, we gather large amounts of data efficiently. But since it's a non-experimental design, it's low in manipulation of antecedents, and the imposition of units may actually vary from low to high. Okay, so if you allow your respondents to answer a survey questionnaire with a small number of response alternatives, if you say yes or no la an ira pwede answeran, or circle an ira and lowest is 1, 5 is the highest, or mga Likert scale, it's actually high in imposition of units. Kasi nagbubuot ka la kung saan hiramag, anon ira iga answer ha specific item. But other times sa mga survey, we also allow our respondents to answer in any way they wish. Ibig sabihin, kung ano nila opinion, iyayakan nila, di ba? Pwede kasi interview. You can also do that. So it's low in imposition of units kasi you just allow them to express their opinions freely. So, ang survey research, may duwa nga techniques that is usually used in psychology. First is face-to-face interviews. So here, it can be done over the telephone. It can also be done ha mga individual or face-to-face interview, one-on-one, or pwede liwat ini ha group interview which is done using focus group discussions. While on mga written questionnaires naman, there are also various ways to do that. But you can hand it out to someone or you can send it through mails or emails. It can be done in a computer lab. It can also be done through Google Forms, no? So, survey research medyo mas generalizable hiya compared to experimental design, which is very um, manipulated manggod dito it mga variables. So dinhi, since you're just measuring an actual na opinion, preference of someone, and it can also be generalizable because it's usually done in a large population or a large sample of the population. So, in constructing surveys, it's actually more than just sitting down and writing out a bunch of questions. Okay? So, that's the major problem there because everyone thinks that they already know how to do it. No? Kahuna nila masayon la ini. But actually, you should know the important components of survey construction bago ka maghimo hin survey. Okay? Because poor constructed surveys do more harm than good. Kung dili mo upay nimo construct ito sa survey questionnaire, how can you make sure that the results of that survey is reliable or valid, diba? So, it's really important to construct it properly. Damo ang mga rules ng survey construction. And yun, you should follow it so that to ensure nga information gathered is valid and reliable. So by principle, actually, and test development process is a highly difficult, tedious, and rigorous na process. So as you can see here, this is the actual test development process. Dili hiya masayon as what others expect it to be. So that's why ang mga psychometricians or anyone who is constructing a test, kapag ka nga ni it's kung baga na-establish na niya psychometric properties, no? Because nag-undergo yan so gadi ni rigorous na process, it really is a money-making activity, no? Ibig sabihin, you will earn a lot if nakapag-test construct ka, diba? Especially in our field. The basics of surveys. So first, na una hihimuon before you construct a survey is that you should map out your research objectives. You should specify ano nga ba ang objective ko for conducting this survey questionnaire or for constructing the survey. So for example, nimo objective is to measure the attitudes of other psychology students toward animal research in psychology. So as you can see, this is too general. So kailangan igda-dissect mo talaga. You specify each aspect of your objective ay mo research. For example here, since ang aton focus is about animal research in psychology, so kailangan i-specify mo ano ba at may adaha animal research in psychology. Possible list is it has something to do with animal rights. It has something to do with animal welfare or benefits to humanity, pain and suffering. So in this list, no, you should make write or one or more questions to evaluate each aspect. Ibig sabihin, you will make questions about animal rights, you will make questions about animal welfare, benefits to humanity, and so on and so forth. Okay? So, kailangan talaga specific ka ha mga aspects han imo main topic. You can also adopt other questions coming from other researches, no? You can adopt their questionnaires kaya sometimes parehas la ka mo ginbibiling, parehas la ka mo construct na gina-measure, so you can also parang benchmark ha iba nga mga studies. You can adopt it or you can also adopt at the same time revise some questions. Also, this objective should always be your basis, no? You all should always refer to it as you construct your survey questionnaire para sure na waray masimang haimo mga questions na ginihimo ha actual nga topic or construct na imo gusto i-measure. Okay, so next, the basics of surveys. In designing survey items, you should decide how are you going to address the imposition of units. So, paano mo ba papaansiron? Okay? How will you impose the units sa iyong survey? Do you want them to give their long, free responses to your questions? Gusto mo ba nga free lahat to just express their answers? Or do you want to restrict or tagan mo larahin options kung paano hira ma-respond? So, if you're just giving them an option or limited na mga alternatives para kapag-answer, then that's considered a closed-ended questions or a closed question or a structured question. So, here are the examples of structured questions. Do you smoke? Should there be a ban on nuclear power plants? So, it's just answerable by yes or no, right? On a scale from 1 to 10, it's also a closed question because di dalahera ma-answer. From 1 as the lowest, 10 as the highest. Kumbaga, gimbubutan mo lahera kung anong ira ibabaton. Or anong ira pagpipilian, haira pagbaton. Okay? Well, the open-ended questions naman, as you can see, open la. Here, the respondents are free to express their opinions, feelings, and they do not just respond yes or no la, or 1 to 3, or mga ratings. Okay? So, for example, why do you prefer taking the train to flying? Diba? If they will explain their um, opinion about a certain matter or nira stand, then that just open-ended. Ibig sabihin, free lahera. Next, open-ended questions can be used to clarify or expand answers to closed questions. So, ibig sabihin, there are also times kapag nagka-conduct kita in survey, pwede man liwat na combination ng questions. Di rin lahiya purely closed-ended or di rin lahiya purely open-ended. Okay? So, example of this is the study of attitudes of preteens toward cartoon violence. So, on closed question, an example is, on the average, how much time do you spend watching Saturday morning cartoons? So, closed question here because itatagan mo laherahin freedom to answer, o freedom, restrict mo lahera to choose options among these four. Okay? Kumbaga may pagpipilian lahera. Pero, any closed question can be followed up with one or more open-ended question. If you really want to know more about this, like you want to know why they like to watch cartoons, or what they think when characters hit each other ha mga cartoons, or what kind of things might cause you to hit someone, mga so ganito mga questions, then that's also useful, no? Para ma-elaborate pa nila further and ira answer. But you have to take note that the answers to closed questions are much simpler to quantify than open questions are. Ibig sabihin, adi nga ito na mga questions kanina about ito nga, less than an hour or something, mas madali i-quantify kasi pwede mo man mag-assign kalahin value. Kung mag-answer ran less than an hour, ang value ito is 1. Or kung mag-answer hirahan, pinaka-highest dito nga option, how many hours is that, maghatag kan value nga 4 or 5, then you can just put all that data or value in the SPSS and pwede na ito i-analyze, makukuha mo na ang average, makukuha mo na ang mean, makukuha mo na ang mga what is needed mo para ma-analyze itong mga numerical data. Kasi it's easily quantified. While an open-ended questions kasi, diri hira suga dito ka-easy. Kay open-ended man hira. But, I'm not saying naman that it's impossible to quantify mga open-ended, mga responses sa open-ended questions because there are actually ways to do it, and one of which is the content analysis. So this is a system designed to evaluate and categorize content of each answer. Responses assigned to categories that are created from data according to objective rules and guidelines. So here, kaya mo man actually i-categorize ang mga answer that was given to open-ended questions. So an example of this, may question ka, what kinds of things might cause you to hit someone? So for example, ang imong mga ginpakianhan, ang era mga answers kay someone looked at me funny. Yan. So pag feeling niya, ang iba nga tao, ang pagkita iya makatarawan lahiya, dakon tendency daw that they will hit ang iba nga tao. Okay? Or someone said something to me that I didn't like na-offend ako, so that's the time I hit other people. Diba? So that's example of an mga responses sa open-ended question. So how will you quantify it? Okay? Pwede, you can evaluate each response and i-code mo ito niya proper category. Then you could report the frequency of each kind of response or submit to data analysis. Diba? For example, out of 10, duduan nagsiring nga someone looked at me funny or something similar nga answer about this. Pwede mo na ito i-tally nga, okay, out of 10, may duwa nga nagyakan nga kaya nila i-hit ani ba nga tao if ginhimo hira nga pakatarawan. Diba? So, the samely what with the other statements. Pero, you can also do another option, no? You can also think of categorization schemes. For example, i-categorize mo na ini nga mga responses nga di nga someone look at me funny, someone said something to me that I didn't like. I-categorize mo la into low provocation, moderate provocation, or strong provocation para mag-hit in other people. Diba? Tapos, ang mga, makukonsider mo nga low provocation lahiya, i-group mo hira as one, itong mga statements. And then, igtatali mo na. Pwede liwat, you can categorize the answers in the open-ended questions to physical provocation and non-physical provocation. Diba? For example, someone looked at me funny, it's a non-physical provocation. Diba? So, someone hit me first, it's a physical provocation. So, uurusahon mo na ni, kakategorize mo na ang mga open-ended responses nila. Also, there are software programs that we can use and that can assist us in extracting categories and common themes from open-ended responses. But the trick lang garing here, although good ini nga may software programs, diri ka na magmamanual or di ka na magmamano-mano, but parang it will require you to also translate ang mga open-ended responses to English para mas madali ma-analyze ang program or software program. Okay, so constructing questions properly can take a great deal of skill. So, kailangan, you should keep items simple. Okay, dapat simple lang yan, madali maintindihan. Ayaw pag pinanggamitin terms nga diri maaram ang general population. For example, you're using super ego nga term. Not everyone knows what is super ego, diba? So just keep it simple. Keep your item simple. Keep people involved in a way na kapag naghimo ka survey, it's also important to involve other people. Ipa-counter-check mo mga items that you are crafting or constructing, and then you can also ask for suggestions from other people, especially from subject matter experts. You can actually do that. And many problems come about because subjects do not understand the meaning of a question, diba? For example, the super ego na liwat. If they could not understand what is super ego, or if they could not understand what is Gemeinschaftgefühl, diba? Then it's difficult for them to answer it. So avoid difficult to understand words, mga double negative, ambiguous question, too complex and included several ideas at once. So iwasan ta ini. We will talk about this later. Alright, so think about the following question. Have you ever considered the idea of abortion? So actually, this question is quite vague. Diriya klaro, what do you mean? Nga inconsider ko an idea of abortion. Are you asking na have I personally ever considered having an abortion? Or are you asking if I ever thought about the concept of abortion? Diba? Because ibig sabihin lang ni is that pwede kasi ma-misinterpret ang isang question. Diba? And if it's not something that you intend it to be, pero iba ang pagkaintindihan mo mga respondents, then dili magiging valid ito nga survey. Okay? Subjects may take the question one way and data gathered would be meaningless. Magiging useless siya because it will not measure what it intends to measure. Next, you only use language that is easy to understand. Okay? So if you cannot avoid a term you know many people won't understand, make sure nala that you will define it in the question. Okay, for example, an antisocial, because an antisocial word is sometimes misunderstood, no? Sometimes feeling nila pag sumaring antisocial, unsociable la ito, diri la ito makitaw, o dunun la ito, or introvert la ito. Which is, that's wrong, right? Because when we know that being antisocial, ibig sabihin, permi ka may ada actions that violate social norms. And you also disregard the feelings of others, or you violate the rights of other people. So that's actually the um, main definition of antisocial. So if you really cannot avoid using antisocial na word dito im survey, make sure that you will define it properly. Okay, so there are also compound questions or double-barreled questions you should avoid. Like for example, you will ask, do you like strawberries and cream? Because may mga times that people like strawberries but they do not like cream, or very sensitive hira mga cream. Or maybe baliktad naman, there are people who likes cream but do not like strawberry, diba? So do not ask questions nga nagme-measure in two different ideas in the same question. It should really be avoided. How about here? Look at this item. Ano kaya ang problema hini? Diba? Just by looking at it, if diri ka sugad ka critical nga tao, actually may kita mo nga bakit may problema. Diba? Kay what if I will be the one to answer this? Occupational status. Example, kailangan lang mag-answer ka sa didi. So it will be difficult for me to answer this because unan nga tanan, I am full-time employed. No? Full-time employed ako sa SSU. But at the same time, I am a full-time student. Paano mo nasiring na full-time student kawat ako? Because PhD classes, Miriam College, you are included as a full-time student if maximum 12 units ang imo gikukuha per sem. Because that's the heaviest load nga pwede mo kuhaon in a sem. Because assuming that all PhD students are also having their job. Diba? So, ayun, what if asyeton ako, full-time employed ako at the same time full-time student? Ay, nakpipiliun din, di ba? Especially kung usalan ginaaro, di ba? So, better na la that you will make it clear, no? Na bulagod mo na lang employment status has student status because being a student is also an occupation. So, why not specify na la, diri na la occupational status, but i-divide mo na lang into two. So, in that way, pwede ako mag-check ang employment status ko as full-time, pwede rin ako mag-student status na part-time, full-time, or what. Okay? At least, hindi nga point, biskan ka full-time employed, kung dili ka man student, you can also check here not a student. Diba? So, it's more specific. Okay, so another one, ano kayang problema hini nga item? Diba? May daman dili, what kind of exercise, activity do you engage in most often? Diba? So you can see amin in mga options. In this item, let's assume na you can check anything, anything that you like. But what if diri ako sporty? What if diri ko ni ginihimo ini nga mga adidi list? Ano pa kay gaan sir ibablangkuhan ko na laban ni, diba? So what if waray nga dan imo favorite type of exercise, diba? So nasiring na di, if you will provide an item na may mga choices, it should be exhaustive. Ibig sabihin, it should contain all possible options, no? Before ka maghimo sa gabi ni, nag-research ka anay. Siguro may daibang mga studies ka nag-measure hini. Dapat kin-enumerate mo anay properly, containing all the possible options. And that's the best way to do this. Or, if dili ka talaga sure, then you can also add ang category nga others please specify. But inihiya nga pagbubutang in others, it's just only used if you do not expect people to use it very often because it is difficult to interpret or analyze a large number of different answers. Yan. So, magbutang kalahan others, please specify after na exhaust mo na ang mga possible options. Pero if you think nga, dirito niya always gagamit nga physical activity, then pwede na ito yung others na lahiya, tas hira na lang magbutang. Take note that in every open-ended question, sining others, please specify, it's actually a open-ended question. Please take note that you will be required to do content analysis, diba? Or kung siguro if you want na mas madali, pwede liwat, na pwede nala open-ended na lahiya, dili ka na mag-provide ng options. Kasi ang pagbili ng options, kailangan exhaustive. So, kailangan mo pa mag-research para mabarukahan ibang options, no? So, if you want, you can just tell them to enumerate la. One or three, diba? Top three nga favorite exercise, diba? And that's the time that you will content analysis na. Okay, measuring responses. So, it's important, close-ended questions na mabarukitahan mga number of different formats. The type of format helps us decide how to interpret data from variables, diba? And it also helps us ano nga statistical analysis ang gagamiton ta atong values assigned. So, if you can still remember how you stat na may dakita level of measurement. Okay, so this is the kind of scale that is used to measure response. So, may kita nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. So, for nominal scale, it actually came from the Latin word name. This is the simplest and lowest level of measurement. So, in this scale, we do not quantify. Okay, so it's just a simple classification of response items. Sometimes it's two or more categories on the basis of some common feature. For example, ma-check la hera kung male or female hera or LGBTQIA plus hera. Or if freshman hera, sophomore hera, junior hera, senior hera, diba? Or kung kapiliin ka major in college, pwede mapili ka la kung diin, kung psychology ka ba, engineering, or something like that. So, I would like to remind everyone that we do not quantify nominal scale, but it's just merely a classification. Okay? So an example of nominal scale is a political affiliation. For example, I'm gonna choose Democrat. So here, there is actually no difference in magnitude. I am not more or less affiliated iba nga mga political affiliation nga da if I belong to one party rather than another. So, kumbaga, what ay difference, no? Kung Democrat ka, it doesn't mean mas less affiliated ka kay others. Something like that. So, what ay difference in magnitude? Kay classification lahiya. And ordinal scale naman is, this is a rank ordering of response items. So, dinhi talaga, may first, may second, may third, diba? So, the magnitude of each value is measured in the form of ranks. Okay, so it gives here and example of this is pre-election polls. And if you want to ask people kung hino an era last natin nga election hano, kung nag-rank nila ang mga presidential candidates, hinon era magiging first, hinon era magiging second, or hinon magiging third. So as you can see there, may ada magnitude, no? May difference in magnitude. Same do with ranking of the academic honors, diba? Ibang level and with highest honors, how with high honors and with honors, diba? So, madidistinguish mo. Okay? And, yun lang. So, but it just give us, for example, mga candidates, no? For example, sumiring ako presidential candidates. Na number 1 ko, Hileni. Number 2 ko, Marcos. Nani ka number 3 ko, Pacquiao, let's say. So it doesn't give us about the relative popularity. No, it just give us about the relative popularity, but it does not tell us precisely kung gaano ka-popular ang particular candidate. Okay? So may limits laan ordinal. So if you want to quantify the magnitude of differences between the responses, then we turn to higher levels of measurement. And so these are the higher levels of measurement. We have the interval scale, So the common hini nga examples kay ang temperature. So measures magnitude or quantitative size using measures with equal intervals between values. So ginagamit din yung mga observations na may ada numbers as their values. And the distance or the interval between pairs of consecutive numbers is assumed to be equal. Like for example, distance between and 1 to 2 is the same diba, with 2 to 3, diba? Parang ganyan. So, common number scales like 1 to 4 or 0 to 100, and there is no true zero point in interval scale. Okay, for example, in temperature, wala yung talaga zero temperature or no temperature, diba? Always ito, whether it's a high or low temperature, may dago dito yung certain number. Wala yung talaga zero. So that's why temperature ang pinaka-best example of an interval scale. So neither 0 degree Fahrenheit nor 0 degree Celsius represent true zero points or true absence of any measurable temperature. We cannot say that 40 degrees is twice as hot as 20 degrees, but because the intervals between values or degrees are equal, we can say that the difference between 40 degrees and 20 degrees is the same as the difference between 20 degrees and 0 degrees. Now, lastly, we have here the ratio scale. This is the variable that meets criteria for an interval variable, pero this time, ratio scale, may ada na value or may meaning na ang zero nga point. Okay, for example, distance. Sumiring ka nga nga 0 kilometers, then there is no distance. Pag sumiring ka naman na 0 minutes, ibig sabihin, no time, di ba? So, and in here, we can also say that 24 hours is twice as long as 12 hours. And here, as we move from lower to higher scales of measurement, we gain more precise information about magnitude of variables or quantitative size. So, as you can see, mas damo nga information ang makukuha mo ka ordinal kaysa nominal scales. Diba? So, yun, mas meaningful here. Okay, for example, sumiring kita nga, okay, nagdaog hi Marcos na perdi Hileni, pero mas meaningful lagi hapon ang masaring kita nga, first, ngadtuhan, election, ang nag-first hi Marcos, second Hileni, third kung hino man ito naging third, diba? Tapos, mas better gihapon, ratio, ang actual nga nagbotos kay Marcos, ang actual nga nagbotos kan Lenny, diba? Okay, so if you want to summarize, if you want a summary of para madali niyo ma-distinguish an nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio, you can just look at this slide. So the best type of scale to use is actually based on the nature of the variable you are studying, how much measurement precision you desire, and sometimes nominal scale is sufficient. Like for example, gender, you don't need to rank them, diba? Kasi it's just easier if you will just classify mo na lang into male, female, or LGBTQIA. Yan. Pero, more powerful talaga ang ratio and interval kesa nominal or ordinal data. So, if decision tree mo for scales, okay, for example, you want to make a specific scale, no? The question is, ini ba nga scale is ordered? Because if it's not, it's just a nominal data. Pero kung if it's ordered, ang pakyanan naman na sunod, is it equally spaced? If it's not equally spaced, then it's just an ordinal data. Now, if it's equally spaced, zero ba niya means none? So, kung ang iya zero, diri absolute zero, then it's an interval data. Or, yes. But, yun naman, kung zero means none, then it means na ratio itong hiyang variable. So to quantify variables, we should be mindful that there are discrete variables and continuous variables. So usually, and mga categorically scaled or nominal and ordinal, these are the discrete variables, while the continuously scaled amo ini an interval or ratio. Okay, so an example of a discrete variable or discrete data are data that can only take a certain individual values. For example, number of pages in a book, shoe size, ngayon, number of people in a race, or number of students in psychology, di ba? Kumbaga, mga individual values lang ini. Pero continuous data naman, mga values that is on a certain range. For example, and length of a film is a continuous variable. For example, if you're watching K-drama, ang K-drama is may dahi range, di ba? From 0 minutes to 1.5 hour, mga suga dito. Temperature, may dalawat range. May mga times nga mahagkot, may mga times nga kuan la pero la ka degrees, pero may mga times liwat para sa nga high and heat index na about 44 degrees, 42 degrees. And then, like ang time liwat, time is a continuous data. Like kanina, length of a film is parang medyo proparesan mga time, ano nga, it's in a range. Okay? So discrete data are specific values. They are whole numbers. Ngayon, waray mga numbers that exist between them. So, for example, kung sa maring kitahin tawo, ang tawo, waray man 1.5 nga tawo, di ba? It's usually whole number. So, nagkawaring nga tawo, it's counted as 1, 2, 3 whole numbers. Good luck. While continuous naman na observation, this is in a full range of values. Mga infinite number of potential values exist. For example, ang time, di ba? And length of a film or something. So here, this is limited only by the number of decimal places we choose to use. So an example of a continuous data again is a number of minutes to complete a task. Okay. So please take note kung always ba or never discrete or continuous ang mga scales nga aton na mentioned kanina, ang mga levels of measurement. So just based on this slide. So, important considerations for survey items. First, unan nga tanan, when you construct a survey, it should be relevant to the central topic. So, if you are measuring or survey about optimism, then the questions should be relevant to optimism. It should be easy to answer, interesting, para diri ma-board ani mo mga respondents. And it's answerable by most respondents. Ibig sabihin, easy la talaga hiya answeran. And it's mas preferable kung mag-survey nga closed format. Ibig sabihin, may mga options lang nga pipilion ng imo participants. Okay? So, mas better nga dili open-ended questions. You just use open-ended questions sa surveys if only needed na ma-elaborate. Subjects or kung magpa-open-ended ka man, mga short responses la para madali ma-quantify. Subjects are able to answer without saying, I don't know. Kasi kung difficult ito, kung makasaring I don't know, then it will not serve its purpose. Okay? Subjects would think it is relevant to the survey topic kasi you're just measuring optimism, so your questions are super aligned to optimism. Papausay ito yung optimism and question, tapos may question about depression or whatever, di ba? Also, we should be mindful that when we construct surveys, that demographic questions at the end of the questionnaire daw. Because may mga times na very sensitive ang mga demographic information, so you should be mindful of this. For example, an income, may mga employees na nira income kung gross pay ang ipapag-usapan dako, pero because of loans and other things, deductions, naging guti na lang nira pay, kumbaga. So para mas maging sensitive kita, mas maging mindful kita of the respondents, you can just include brackets ha income para diri sugod ka awkward to answer that. Also, may mga people who are very sensitive when we talk about age. So you can also use age brackets. For example, any mo participants dili niya tanggap na 35 na hiya. So you can just include mga age brackets like 25 to 35, di ba? Para feeling young pa rin pag check niya ini nga 25 to 35. Okay, so questions given in the survey should not be value laden. Okay, do not word your question in ways that would make positive or negative response seem embarrassing or undesirable. Okay, so for example, adi nga duwa nga questions nga ako nakabutang nga slides. Hain ba mas maupay ba to nun? Diba? So, adi nga una nga questions na ring, do you believe doctors should be allowed to kill unborn babies during the first trimester of pregnancy? Is this even good, no? Nga question nga. Sumiring nga niya ako nga yes, ibig sabihin na allow la ako naman mamatay at mga doctors at mga unborn babies. Diba? So, parang you really have to choose the right words in crafting your questionnaire. So, you can consider doing this. Do you believe doctors should be allowed to terminate a pregnancy during the first trimester? Diba? In that way, mas maupay ang wordings na ginagamit. So, we should choose the words that we will use in the survey. Do not use questions like this. So, as you can see, pagkat ka very unethical in way in pag-question niya, diba? Do selfish scumbags cheat on their taxes? I don't think so. And scumbags, the word, are acceptable. No. Right, so response styles naman. So research shows that ang response styles and mga respondents differ from different countries, nationalities, languages. Ibig sabihin ng response styles, these are tendencies to respond to questions or test items in specific ways, regardless of their content. So we will go through this. Okay, so we should be mindful and willingness to answer ang aton participants because there are times nga dili ra willing to participate in a survey, and that's why voluntary la always in survey. Dili dapat kita nan mimirit, okay? Because ang mga people who are not willing to answer or when they are not sure about their answer, they just tend to leave the items blank, diba? And sometimes, kung may mga unanswered items, it's not useful, diba? Kung may mga participants, kadamon ira mga items nga dili answeran, dili ra actually nagiging included. Anira mga results hiton is not included in the main nga data naton. So, ito nga omission of answers, it's really difficult to score and interpret, especially in mga standardized tests. If they are not taking the test seriously, it's more likely nga bagan waray lahira umapihan aton research. Kaya itatanggal ta malaliwat hira. Diba? So next, we should also be mindful na may position preference sometimes in mga participants, especially if they're not serious with our survey. Na may dera preferred nga answer. For example, a multiple test, sometimes napili ra when in doubt kuno, they always select C. So that's something that we should be mindful, no? Kung maaram kita hini, we should vary the arrangement of correct answers sa mga multiple choice test. May daliwat mga yeah or nay sayers. May mga respondents na always nagpipilihan no or mga false or mga strongly disagree. May daliwat mga nagpermi nag-yes, nag-true or nag-strongly agree in mga items. So for those na mga participants or respondents na always nag-accept, nag-agree, or always nag-check kan yes, or always naglilido ng mga agree, strongly agree, ang tawag ini mga yes sayers or response acquiescents. While may dalawat mga respondents na they tend to disagree no matter what they are asked. Always sila nagsasaring no, strongly disagree, yun. So, response deviation ang tawag ito. So, para ma-avoid ini, you should design the questions that force the subject to think more of the answer so that they will take the question seriously. So, on item 1 din diri mas preferred kasi madali la pagsaring yes or no, or agree or disagree. Pero ka item 2, tatagan mo hirahin responsibility to understand the content first before they answer. Like, if you're making them think, no? kung ang mga prices ba han past years kay naghataas ba, umubos ba, or um, same lahiya, constant lahiya, diba? So in that way, nakapag-isip yan, ano ba, umigbaw ba, umubos ba, or something like that. Hindi lahiya basta-basta masaring na yes, no, or agree or disagree. So you can also avoid it by providing mga questions that can counter-check. Kaya di ba ang mga hubyaon ng mga participants, pero mayroon naglilidong nagtuhan, sunta response acquiescence. Pero mayroon nagsistring yes, pero mayroon nag-strongly agree, or pero mayroon nag-yes. So, dapat may mga items kalawat na gini-include nga reversed and score. For example, optimism questionnaire and mga questions usually mga positively constructed. What if kung mag-negative construction kaliwat, negative niya meaning na it will mean na no optimism. So, para ma-check mo nga, okay, they are not taking this seriously kay bisan diri about optimism, bisan diri high optimism ini an answer, napili ko lagi hapon ra dituan high, di ba? So, what I mean is, you can also incorporate mga reversely scored na mga items. Okay, so we also be mindful na may mga context effects. This happen when the position of a question where it falls in the questionnaire can influence how the question is interpreted. For example, may dali di items nga mapili ka between nice and nasty. So, kung ini nga nice and nasty, nakalugar ha mga items nga may ada not sexy or sexy, you will kind of interpret this nice or nasty in a sexual way because sunod hiyahan sexy or not sexy. Pero kung ikadto mo ini ha mga items like kind and cruel, mas less likely mapapag-isipan nga sexual way it nasty nga word pa. So, we can stop it in mga context effects, pero at least kung ikaw is someone na magko-compose or magko-construct in survey items, you should be aware that it exists. So, in questionnaires or mga surveys, it can be done through self-administered questionnaires. Ibig sabihin, ikaw nag-construct yung questions, pero you just let them answer the questionnaire. Diba? Hira nagbabasa instruction, hira nag-answer. So, it should be important na simple and clear and instructions that they can answer it by themselves. And you should also be aware na may mga times nga may reactivity gihapon in survey. Ibig sabihin, pwede ra pumilihin mga answers that is socially desirable, no? That even if iba ang ira opinion, pero they think nga it will not be socially desirable. So, ano na pipili mo? Ang social desirable nga answer. Also, you should decide kung if it will be group, it will be done in a group or in an individual. Diba? So, if you think that the items are sensitive or it may embarrass other participants, then you can conduct it in an individual manner. But if it's not too sensitive or embarrassing, you can conduct it in group sessions. In collecting survey data, it can also be done through mails. So here, again, susulod niya mga send niya through post office, through LBC or something. Basta adaya sulod an envelope through mail surveys. So it is self-addressed, self-stamped letter, and pwede ka lang incorporate in small gifts para mahibalik pa ini nga mail survey. Kasi dakon tendency nga diri ini mahibalik because imagine maiha hiya snail mail hiya. Okay? So it's a traditional way, diri ini a modern way of conducting surveys. And mas modern na way of conducting surveys is through computer and internet surveys. So it's done through Google Forms, SurveyMonkey, Survey Gizmo. So it's an inexpensive survey wherein diri ka dakot imo gasto pero mas dakot iya response rate, no? So here diri good na pupugos mag-answer ang participants because diri man face to face siya kakandak. Okay, no experimenter, no researcher that is present. Pero still, it needs informed consent. They should be given a measure of privacy because sometimes You cannot require the names, no, how Google Forms, pero sometimes nakikita mo lagi hapon, diri yan nagiging anonymous because you're still using email address na may ngaran, diba? So, yun. So, samples are pwede hiya mga large samples and patikon because it's just sent through internet. Okay, so surveys can also be done through telephones. So, it's usually done ng mga customer service, diba? Nagpapakianahirahin mga rates through phones, liwat. So, here, kailangan well-trained ang mga interviewers. And, kasi pag well-trained hira, they use mga proper words and they know how to keep conversation going, then mas high and quality of answers na makukuha. Okay? So, it was also found out in the researches na male telephone interviewers are more effective than female interviewers. It's because ang male nga voice sa telephone is more authoritative or persistent in persuading even if the someone or respondent refused for the first time. Okay, so you can still collect data survey through interviews. So this is actually the most expensive method kasi it takes a lot of time and money and kailangan training on interview skills and techniques and mag-interview. So research shows that female interviewers are more successful than male interviewers in gaining cooperation, maybe because they are more capable to build or establish rapport with respondents or participants. So, when you interview, it's important na makag-establish ani ka mo rapport because if not, the tendency that you will not get the information that you want kung diri pahira kampante mo, diba? So, you also avoid judgmental statements. For example, nasashock ka niya yung babaton, ayaw na pagpa-obvious nga nasashock ka because ang mangyayari hiton, feeling nila na judge hera based on iraging baton imo. Also, you should know how to keep interview flowing, nga mapadayon lang iyo istorya. You should know how to make the conversation going, no? Nga diri nga mahuyo ka kay nag-iisip ka pahan imo yayak nung sunod. So, ito na kailangan talaga proper training para han mga interviewers. Okay, so may the two kinds of interview, the structured wherein may da ka na prepared ng mga questions and you cannot deviate from these questions. An unstructured naman, wala ka good masyado interview na guide, parang free-flowing lahiya, you're just free to ask questions, whatever it is. May da naman semi-structured, which is not included in this slide, pero semi-structured, may ada ka prepared na, ready to use na interview guide, pero you can also ask follow-up questions in between. So, that's when nagiging semi-structured. So, in interviewing also, kung ikaw magiging interviewer, appearance really matters, no? So, best results you will obtain from the one that you are interviewing if interviewer matches the respondent as closely in physical appearance, no? If you want to interview tricycle drivers, ayaw pag-coat and tie. You should wear something very casual lang, pwede gamitin in a daily basis. Pero if you will interview mga professionals, mga CEO or something, you should also wear something formal, di ba? Yun. So, sometimes, mas madali mag-interview kapag same race, no? Mas madali bumaton or mag-participate ha interview kung ang imo interviewer kay Filipino liwat, diba? Filipino to Filipino or Americans to Americans because dakong possibility nga ma-intimidating kapag iba nga race. Pag the same accent, no? Just the same Latin ha race nga aton ipapag-istoryahan. Socioeconomic status, no? Pagkat intimidating kasi kung lower class la ako tapos ang akong interviewer is high class, di ba? So yun, so that's actually based on studies. Also, we can conduct interviews in a group. We're using focus group discussions. So talag sa line gagamit and usually in mga groups that are gathered, ang mga individuals that are gathered in a group are may dahira similar characteristics, no? And it's hard to manage kung ano facilitator diriya skilled in conducting focus group discussions. Okay, so it's difficult to guarantee that it will yield useful data for content analysis or statistics. So that's why it needs a lot of training para mga mag-EFGD. Okay, so evaluating surveys and survey data. So it's important na ang survey reliably at the same time valid. Reliable kung an extent to which the survey is consistent and repeatable. So ini ba nga test pag impatake mo ha day 1, for example, day 1 May 13, gipatake mo haya. After how many days ba? Let's say after 4 days, May 17, the same level gihapon ang responses na makukuha ta from the same person. So if that's the case, then we can say that that survey is still reliable, no? Because similar responses la across different survey givers. Ibig sabihin, bisan Ma'am Andrea nagpatikan May 13, tas si Ma'am KR nagpatikan May 17, the same lagi hapon ang era responses because reliable ang survey nga na-construct. While validity naman if the survey actually measures what it intends to measure, diba? So, if the survey or does the performance on the survey predict actual behavior, then it's highly predictively valid, predictive validity. Or does it give the same results as other surveys designed to measure similar topics, or construct validity ba hiya and all, or may discriminant validity ba hiya? Okay, so that's something you have to consider, because if it does not measure what it intends to measure, then it's useless. Also, it's important when you conduct survey na may sampling, because it's taken from a huge number of people. So you should decide who the subjects will be and how will you select these participants. So population as defined are all people, animals, objects that have at least one characteristic in common. Okay, for example, all students in SSU Sigmunta 5,000, so that's the population of students in SSU. Now, when we say sample of subjects, it is a group that is a subset of the population of interest. Data collected from samples can be used to draw inferences about a population without examining all its members. So there are times na makuri talaga mag-total enumeration kahit imo survey. Sometimes it's hard na 5,000 students, 5,000 talagang mag-answer. So to make it more easier, nakuha lang katahin sample taken from the population. So dapat ini nga mga sample or magsaserve talaga ra as a representative of the population. Diba? Kay how well does your sample size resemble the population? Diba? Kabay nagkuha kayo sample pero bias ang pagkuha ng sample, diba? So that's why may mga sampling methods, and that is random sampling or probability sampling and non-random or non-probability sampling. So probability sampling, every member of the population may have the equal chance of being selected into the study. And the random selection, this is unbiased method in selecting subjects. Yun, kasi nga may equal opportunity hera to be selected. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of using probability sampling. Okay? And the types of probability sampling are simple random sampling, systematic random sampling, stratified random sampling, cluster sampling. So the most basic form of random sampling is the simple random sampling. Portion of whole population selected in an unbiased way does not guarantee the sample will be truly representative of the whole population. It yields only an estimate of what is likely to be true. So, pwede ito by fishbowl sampling is an example of a simple random sampling, like the draw lots or something like that. And systematic random sampling naman is an elegant variation of random sampling. May dahil ni actually formula, and it's determined sample is determined by the size of population, let's say 5,000, and ano mo desired sample size. Let's say 250 na kung gusto ipatake out of 5,000. So, ang magiging kwan nito, formula is 5,000 divided by 250. Ibig sabihin, kada 20th ito nga 5,000 list of students, kada 20th mo nga ihap, amo ito naging participants in imo study. Okay? So, stratified random sampling naman is known to contain distinct subgroups. For example, sa SSU, may kita mga different colleges, may ada College of Arts and Sciences, may CONHS, may co-ed, may co-eng, may CIT. So, ito niya, included na ito niya as a strata. So, this is obtained by randomly sampling from people in each subgroup. So, pero kailangan same proportions as they exist in the population. Okay, let's say may ada 5,000. Kunwari lang niya, 5,000 may ada an SSU students main campus. So, the question is, pira ba percent han 5,000 and population hin co-ed? Pira ka percent and population pira ka percent and population han CAS hay nga 5,000 nga students. So, yan na, for example, may nakakuha ka na 250. So, nakapag-determine ka na nga 250 ang magiging sample size na, yan na, kung 30% of the 5,000 students at co-ed, dapat 250 mga sample, 30% what dito should come from co-ed. Kung 20% han 5,000 and may ada ang CAS students, then dapat dito 250 mga sample, 20% what of 250 and magiging participants mo ang CAS. Okay? So that's stratified random sampling. So, cluster sampling naman, instead of sampling individuals from the whole population or from subgroups, din naman nagiging entire clusters or mga naturally occurring groups within the population. Okay? So, pwede ni, and magiging study mo is based lahan zip codes, no? Ang mga taga 600-700 nga alaan ako ni studihan. Or mga from a certain district, no? Pwede district 1, district 2, ano mo magiging studihan. Okay? So, its advantage is because the sample mo is taken from less locations, no? For example, may kita study ha region, may kita study ha Visayas, pero you decided na ha region 8 la. So, that's a cluster sampling, region 8 la. The disadvantage naman there is, subjects kasi within a cluster, pwede kasi mag-resemble each other. So, may downside in cluster sampling. Now, with non-probability sampling, here naman, diri sugad ka random. Diri tanan nga tao ha population are given a chance to be selected. So, these are the types of non-probability sampling. May the quota sampling, convenience sampling, purposive, and snowball. So, non-probability sampling, nga quota sampling, mapili ilan researchers through predetermined quotas that are intended to reflect the makeup of the populations. So, for example, ng population may ada 1,500 elderly living in a residential setting. Tapos, it was given there nga 1,000 and females, sini nga elders, and 500 males. So, pwede, ang imo quota sample is 100 females and 50 males. Okay? So, in that way, bisan hino nga elder ito nga lugar, basta 100 nga babayin, kukuha ka mga 50 nga lalaki. Pero, diri nga tanan may given a chance, no? Depende lahan quota. Well, the convenience sampling naman, kung hino ang pinaka-available han time nga nag-gather ka, ang siya ito hiraan magtitik. Okay, inila nga second year kaya raman na adi. Okay? It's less expensive and faster, but may caution la kita hapag himuhin conclusions drawn from the data. Kasi accidental sampling lahiya kung hino lang available during that time. Waray talaga kita way of checking kung representative ba talaga inihan population nga aton gusto istudihan. So, may purposive sampling naman, dinihi ginpili mo nimo participants for a specific purpose or reason, no? For example, mag-study ka lang about single mothers. So, tanan na magiging participants mo are those lang ang mga single mothers. And we all know that not all people population kay mga single mothers. So, mapili ka lang talaga. Okay? So, may dalawang snowball sampling wherein researcher locates one or a few people who fit the sample criterion and asks these people to locate or lead them to additional individuals. Like for example, kung may study ka about mga vloggers or mga content creators, usually magkarigla lang nila. So, mapakian na kahausa nga participant, uy, pwede mo ako i-refer ha ibang mga vloggers, kailangan ko lawat kasi ra-interviewon, diba? So, as you can see, ini nga mga non-probability sampling is usually done ang mga qualitative research. Well, ang kadaman naman nga probability sampling nga nagkakamay the equal chance and participants to be chosen kay is usually done sa mga quantitative research. Pero not every quantitative research kay nagamit in probability sampling talaga. There are times like what nagiging convenience sampling, depende. Pero mas preferable sana if probability sampling ang gagamitan. Okay? So that's all for surveys and interviews. Medyo minadali ko lang akong discussion, so I hope that it was clear, no? So, good news, ini nga group work will not be done. Ini nga batch ni Yana. Last year, it was done by mga third year na yana. Pero I decided not to let you answer this one anymore since it's not relevant naman na aton main nga requirement for finals. Okay? So, just skip this slide and any questions, just send a message in group chat. Thank you.